Hello, everybody, and welcome to another of the Just Enough Heshy show. I'm going to introduce my co-host, so you know who's talking. We have Neil back.
I'll be talking.
We had no reason till now. Finally, the voice of reason's
Heshy
back.
was running wild in the streets.
Yeah.
Nobody to tell him off.
Yeah, so of course we have Z. He's back.
What's up, everybody? Good to be here.
Of course we have our host, Uncle Heshy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Just Enough Heshy Show. And my buddy, yes, Neil, how are you doing? You feeling better, my boy?
I'm doing terrific.
And I just want you to know, and our beautiful co-host, which I didn't introduce, Neil, first I had to ask how you're feeling. Esty, hello, how are you?
How's it going?
I want you to know that I walked over to Neil's house Friday night. No, I didn't really go to check up on him. I needed a place to crash.
Your wife threw you out again?
Nobody was home. I didn't want to be home alone, and I went to somebody to eat. I didn't want to walk home, and Neil was like 4 blocks away. I knocked on the door, and he screams, "Who's there?" I said, "It's Uncle Heshy." He opens the door. I said, "Where can I sleep?" And the bum has the air conditioner on. I needed 2 blankets. I still froze, but I slept on a nice, comfortable couch. He was nice to me. He fed me too.
Not much.
Not much.
No.
Thank God.
He crashes in your house and then complains that it's too cold. Who is this guy? Sleep on the street.
You don't understand. If I would have known he was coming, I would have pulled out the heater.
I begged him.
He's nuts. He needs it 98 plus.
Anyways, everybody, welcome back to the show, and we have a special guest tonight, which I'm going to introduce to you shortly. He's a calling guest, but I want to start with my quote for the night and a little story, and this way it'll give you some inspiration because the holidays are coming, and you know, Neil, we're going to be.
That's right, they are,
and we're going to be closing. We're going to be ending our first season of the Just Enough Heshy show, and it's going to end on September something. I don't know the date exactly. September 14th.
Has it been a year since we started?
November is a year, but the way it works in television and radio, they break the seasons in half. And our first season ends, and our next season will begin the end of the Jewish holidays, and seasons 2 will begin in the beginning of October. Yeah. Anyways, here's my quote. Are you ready for the quote? Are you ready? Because I really thought hard about this one.
So ready.
Okay. And I'm going to be talking about people. This is what my quote is about. People. There are amazingly wonderful people in all walks of life. Okay, some familiar to us, others not. Stretch yourself and really get to know people. People are in many ways one of our greatest treasures. No?
Okay.
I mean, okay. I'm telling you
I think people are our only treasures.
Exactly,
really.
Neil. You see, thank God.
That's how important it is. What do you mean? What's a world without people?
Right. So I want to tell you a joke. Can I tell you a joke?
Oh, I wish you would.
Okay, here's a joke. An IRS, the IRS sends a guy to audit. I'm sure all of you heard the joke, but I just read it.
I read it. I thought it was really funny.
Was it funny?
Yeah.
So the IRS sends this person to the synagogue to audit the synagogue. And he says to the guy was really vicious and mean. And he says to the rabbi, he checks all the Bible. He says, "I noticed that you buy a lot of candles." So yes, the rabbi said, "We do buy a lot of candles. You know, what do you do with the drippings?" So the rabbi said, "That's a good question. We save it all up, and when we have enough of it, we send it back, and they make us candles, and they send us a free box, so we don't waste it." He says, "Okay," replied the auditor, and then he tried to be smart. So he thought of another question. He says, "Rabbi, you make a lot of matzo purchases." So he says, "What do you do with the crumbs from the matzos?" So he says, "Yes," replied the rabbi calmly. "We actually collect all the crumbs and we send them back to the manufacturer. And when we're finished, he sends us a free box of matzos." "Oh," replied the auditor, and he's thinking hard how to fluster the rabbi. He says, "Well, Rabbi, what do you do with the foreskins of the circumcisions?" And then again, the rabbi didn't waste a second. He says, "Yes, we save all of these up, and when we have enough of them, we actually send them to the IRS." He says, "To the IRS?" the guy questioned. He says, "Yes, we send it directly to the IRS, and about once a year, they send us a little prick like you."
Nice.
I know that was a bad word I said, everybody, but I have
The
no
rabbi
choice.
didn't say that
I think the rabbi was so pissed he actually said that. That's
The
right.
rabbi on my show could have said that. I didn't see that.
I think the rabbi in my shul said it too. But you know, but I do want to give you a little inspiration because I was sitting around some people on the Sabbath meal, and they were all questioning on, you know, it's the time of year for the Jewish people, and I believe for all people to consider repentance.
What? I don't get it. What, Rosh Hashanah is already here? Like,
Yeah,
what?
it's about a month away. The Jewish
a month
New
away
Year.
is a month away. I got time to
Okay,
repent.
so but the point.
I have more time.
Esther's gonna wait till last year. Let's go, Z.
I have more time to get in some more sins, and then I could repent. Get it all in. You got one more month.
There was a story of a guy who was a guy bumped into his friend in the old country, and he saw him carrying water up the hill. And he says, "What's going on?" He says, "Oh, I'm the water carrier, and I'm old, and I thought I'd have money for retirement, and I'm broken, and I'm disgusted what I have to do, and I just can't do it anymore." And he was cretching and bitching all the way up. And the man saw that this guy was broken and he has nothing, and he went to deliver his way. About 2 days later, he saw the man again. And the man was happy and jolly. He says, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you so happy and jolly?" He says, "Oh, look at me. I'm able to carry the water and deliver the water. I'm strong. I don't need charity from anybody." It was the exact same job the guy was doing, and he had the same answer. So when I was listening to the guy tell the story, I said to him, "So I don't understand. What's the meaning of the story?" He says, "Well, your New Year is coming." He says, "On your Holy New Year, supposedly, according to Rabbi Mizrahi and the rest of them, God decides your fate for the year. He decides your fate for the year." So my question to him was, if God fates your fate on the year, what year? What about the rest of the year? He says, "No, God judges you every day of the year. What he does is he gives you your portion of supposedly of your judgment for the whole year on your Holy New Year. He makes your decision.
God judges? I don't like that.
He judges daily, and on the New Year, he gives you your judgment for the whole year of what you're going to work, what you're going to make, and what you're going to accomplish. But each day, he gives you the feelings. He judges you on how you're going to feel on what you're going to get. You know how you have the rich guy who has the multi-billion-dollar house, and some days you see him very happy. He should be happy every day. He has a house with 12 rooms, 2 cars in the driveway. How could a man like that be depressed?
You're insinuating that money can buy happiness.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the God's judgment, how he makes you feel as well, as some days you're happy of what your lot is, and some days you're not happy because you see what the other guy has more than you, and some days you actually see what you have more than another guy.
Back up.
Yeah.
I don't believe it has anything to do with anyone
I
else.
believe it does.
I don't think
I believe it does.
I think you can wake up one morning feeling this way, one morning
Because
feeling
you're jealous.
that way.
Well,
but not jealous.
It's all up to you.
It's a mind game.
It's up to you how you want to make yourself
and
feel.
that's why I think you're wrong in feelings. I don't think it's written down. It doesn't say what your feelings will be for the year.
I believe not for the year, but I believe that God is a daily judgment. He makes you feel how you react and how you act. It's a test on how you run your day. When you wake up in the morning.
So what are we differencing here? Whether it's a daily test or a monthly test or a yearly test?
Because
it's hourly. It's every minute you choose how you want to feel.
Every day could be your last day. So when you wake up in the morning and you see the sun come up, I every day when I wake up early in the morning, I actually get up before the sun rises. And some days I've been a little late lately, and I see the sunrise, I say, "Wow, just another new day. I can't believe it. I made it to another new day." And that's what it is. I'm
not that excited. Like, yay, another day.
You're just surprised that people haven't killed you yet.
Esther, you get up at 11:30 in the afternoon. So for you, another new day is no different.
See, you don't even understand that 11:30 is still morning. You don't even get it.
I don't know. Whenever I wake up at 9, I'm like, who wakes up this early? I'm too young for this.
Esther, who is Esther? Tell us about what show people are listening to.
So yeah, you guys are listening to the Just Enough Heshy show. We are on Monday and Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. You should get us on Facebook, like our page, Just Enough Heshy. Follow us on Twitter, #JustEnoughHeshy. We're live on YouTube, and you can email us at justenoughheshy@gmail.com, or you can call into the show at 718-303-9090. Our advertisers today, we have Mr. Clean's Dry Cleaning. He does free pickup and
Wonderful.
delivery.
He's been doing my job real good.
Yeah.
Let me see.
No,
it looks clean.
It's not only clean,
Looking
he
good.
fixes my buttons. He comes and picks up and delivers from 2 different locations. I love him.
So yeah, you can, if you mention the Just Enough Heshy show, you get 25% off. You can reach him at mrcleandelivers@gmail.com.
I've been getting it, Neil.
And call him. You can also reach him at 347-369-3051. We have the Black Label electronic cigarettes. You can go to blpremiumesig.com or call Mikey at 561-239-5941. We have Green Line Building Solutions. They do asbestos and lead inspection, DOB, HPD code compliance. They lift stop work orders, and they do free consultation. You can call them at 718-871-0382. Go on, Heshy.
And if you want to call into the show tonight, talk about anything you want. We're with the game.
Yeah,
we're going to be talking.
I have a good topic of discussion.
But we're going to talk about a bunch of things. I want to talk about Trump. I want to talk about a lot of stuff.
Debates. You saw the debate on Thursday?
Saw the debate.
I saw the debate too.
Okay, and I have a lot to say about Trump, and I listened to a lot of radio today about Trump when I was in the car.
I heard the best line ever. I don't know if Trump actually said it. It's being attributed to him, but we don't know if it actually came from him. But Trump said, "Of course, my casino in New Jersey went bankrupt. I had an all-you-can-eat buffet in the same state as Chris Christie."
Oh, wow, that was very good.
I don't know if it came from him, but that was.
But anyways, everybody, we have a very interesting show tonight. We have a gentleman calling into the show, which is very interesting that you guys should listen. His name is Cleve Dottie. He serves as counsel for Liberty Institute. He focuses on litigation, research, education, and before joining the Liberty Institute, Mr. Dottie was an associate at the Austin office of Baker Bolts Bots LLP, where he focused on complex commercial appellate litigation representing national, regional, and local clients. And the reason why I'm telling you guys this is he's a native Texan, and Mr. Dottie, I think that's where he says it, served as a briefing attorney for the Honorable Don R. Willett of the Texas Supreme Court. He graduated from the University of Chicago. But the reason why I want you to hear about this guy,
give people some background. So they know what's going on.
He is representing an ex-broadcaster by the name of Craig James, who is suing Fox after being fired for his opposition to same-sex marriage. First came the CEOs and broadcasters. Soon they'll go after lawyers, accountants. Yeah. This guy is a broadcaster for Fox. I
thought Fox is...
No, but this guy came out before the gay marriage thing, and he said, listen, I'm against gay marriage, and he can't be that.
Fox is for gay marriage?
It's not for gay marriage, but
Fox
one of your broadcast... It doesn't make a difference. When you're on...
This is Fox Sports, totally different than Fox News.
Doesn't make a difference. You're still a broadcaster.
No, I just want...
you have to be in the middle, like by the...
I'm just saying, you just get it straight.
Why is everybody screaming at that lady announcer? What's the position called when you announce over there? The lady, the three people that were asking not the anchors. When you those three people who were giving out the questions to by the debate.
Oh. No, what he's talking about.
Moderators. So those moderators have to be in the middle. And when Megyn Kelly started to be vicious, and like Trump says, blood was running not only from her eyes, but from all parts of her body, he was 100% correct.
Yeah.
So, Mr.
I didn't see it that way.
By the way, he was also a district attorney, assistant district attorney in the northern part of Texas or something. He's going to introduce himself on the show. So this is a guy that we're going to listen to. We're going to hear his actual reasoning why this guy shouldn't have been fired. I mean, this guy was a broadcaster, which should be impartial, and he ends up coming out and saying, I'm against gay marriage, for gay marriage. When you're a moderator or a broadcaster, you can, but we're going to listen to Mr. Dottie explain
what
the
did
views.
He get fired from?
You got to give us the story.
He came. We're going to listen.
What did he say?
Well, I don't really know all the details. I read it to you. What little research that I've done on it.
And this guy is representing.
He's representing. He's the lawyer representing Mr. Craig James,
right.
And we're going to find out why he believes that Mr. Craig James shouldn't have been fired. I mean, because if you're firing Mr. Craig James,
okay, so let's start out by asking him.
Yeah, well,
why was he fired?
No, before that, let's first introduce him onto the show. Let's put him through. Esty, put Mr. Dottie on the line.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Dottie.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Mr. Dottie. Welcome to the Just Enough Heshy Show. We got 4 of us around there. We're going to be taking calls. But before we start with you, we'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about yourself, your history of your legal. I mean, we did try to read as much as we can, but I'm sure there's much more to say.
Yes, so I'm Cleve Dottie, counsel with Liberty Institute, and we represent clients in a wide variety of religious freedom contexts. I particularly handle a lot of our employment matters, and I was in private practice. I worked for the Texas Solicitor General's office and then for a giant law firm doing commercial litigation and basically doing the same thing on the defense side. and then came over, and now I'm with Liberty Institute and representing individual clients and ministries, churches, and the like.
Now, Ms. Dottie, you said religious freedom. What does that mean, religious freedom?
It means you're right in America to practice your faith, not just to have a faith or have a belief, but to practice that belief every day as you see fit.
As long as you don't push it on somebody else, or it doesn't hurt somebody else, or your comments don't clash with another person or another religion. Is that correct?
Well, that's where all the rub or the business is. So I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, people hold all kinds of views that others find offensive, right? And that's fine. You're free to hold that view. Where it crosses the line is not just somebody doesn't like this, because if that were the case, there wouldn't be much freedom. It's you're actually, physical harm to someone, things like that. Then of course the state is going to come in and say, no, you can't do that. You can't beat up on somebody because you don't like his beliefs, religious or not. That's not okay. But we have a wide scope of freedom to hold differing viewpoints. And maybe viewpoints people find offensive, maybe viewpoints people don't find offensive. But there's just we're in favor of a wide scope of freedom for each individual.
Now, Ms. Dottie,
am I saying the background of the whole story?
Yeah, Ms. Dottie, am I saying your name correctly, Dottie?
It is Doty, actually.
Doty. I wanted to make sure so I don't mess up this whole show. So, Mr. Doty, we have a question for you. Can you explain to us in what this lawsuit is about against Fox?
So this is about Craig's religious beliefs, and this case is about as clean as it gets. So Craig shows up, they hire him for the job, say, we want you to be a sportscaster. They actually come and recruit him. So he doesn't send in a resume. They come find him. We'd love to work with you. Let's bring you on. So he goes in, talks to them. They issue this great press release. He's a talented broadcaster. We're delighted to have him on the show. He comes on the show. And what does Craig do on the show? He gives a sports broadcast. Nothing happens. I mean, everything is great. The next day they call him up and say, Craig, we're letting you go. Sorry. It's your religious belief. So what does Craig do? Craig held a belief. So he didn't actually do anything on the air. They've testified now under oath that his performance had nothing to do with his termination. In fact, the guy who says he made the decision said he didn't even know how Craig did on the show. They wanted to get rid of him anyway. So this just had to do with whether Craig can hold a belief about marriage that the network itself didn't agree with. So they learned about his beliefs in marriage. He had made a comment almost 2 years before in a political debate when he was running for United States Senate alongside Ted Cruz. And Ted actually said very similar things in this political debate. I have a belief that marriage is between a man and a woman, going back to the Bible, Adam and Eve, all of that. I think the family is the fundamental unit. And so for that reason, I can't support same-sex marriage. And he actually turns to someone else who's a believer and says, look, I believe you're a Christian too. I mean, we're just agreeing to disagree on this. But I think as a Christian, I'm called to stand up and make this statement. And that was it. And a couple of people talked about it at the time, but go ahead.
Did it affect anything that he said on the air, or did it affect anything that anybody would hear outside of, from internally? Like, were listeners, privy to know any of this? Did it offend anybody? Like, what exactly was the big problem?
Well, that's exactly the question. There wasn't a big problem.
It doesn't sound like it.
More than 18 months before he started at Fox Sports, this happened, and then Craig shows up at Fox. He doesn't say anything about it there. He doesn't go around. He talks football. You've been around him for 5 minutes. He's talking plays. He's talking players. I mean, that is what he lives and breathes the stuff. He loves it. Right. And so that's what he's talking about, and that's all they talk about on the job. And so they spend a lot of time talking about football. They spend zero time talking about his beliefs in marriage. There was a New York reporter who ran an article that he had run, I guess, several years prior, or a couple of years prior, about Craig's marriage beliefs. But that was the only thing that happened. His views, by the way, down here are very uncontroversial. 76% of Texas voters had voted to define marriage as between a man and a woman shortly before he makes this statement. So not exactly the most offensive thing ever.
So, two questions. One, Texas now has to abide by the new law. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're part of the United States.
Well, yeah.
Unless they want to secede.
The United States, so
which won't be long.
Marriage, yeah.
So if some preacher or rabbi says no, I will not marry you, or some local civil clerk says no, he gets in trouble?
Well, there's two separate questions there. So one is the preacher and one is the civil clerk. The civil clerk cases are a little more interesting because they're actually doing work, some of them doing work for the government, and the government may have an obligation to do it. So that one's a little more complicated. As regards pastors, even the Supreme Court majority in the Obergefell opinion says that you, as a religious person, religious people, religious institutions have long held First Amendment rights. They don't have to participate in this. They may continue to honor the family and honor the family unit and live out those beliefs. And actually say the same is true even for people who aren't religious, who oppose same-sex marriage for other reasons. You may still continue to have and live out those beliefs. The only places it would really could potentially affect you is if you were a government employee, for instance, a clerk, who was required by law to perform marriages, and you were the only one required to perform marriages. So normally, Title VII in federal law and state law in all 50 states protects you on the basis of your religious beliefs. So if you're working for the state government and they have 5 people, but they only need 1 to do marriages, and you say, may I have an accommodation? Can someone else do this? Normally, that's no problem. If the other person does it, you're able to stay there, and they can have more diversity that way. They can have a wider range of religious and secular viewpoints in the workplace. Everybody gets along. It's not a problem. And in practice, that's what we see. Very, very, very few of these employment cases up until more recently. But even then, it's still relatively rare for an employer to come and do this, to just terminate someone on the basis of beliefs.
Well, why is it taking 2 years for this to really get to the forefront of the court system?
That's just part, and this is particular to employment law and employment claims. So you file a complaint with either the state or federal administrative agency, so the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in the federal government. Texas has the similar thing. It's called the Texas Workforce Commission. You file a complaint there. It then goes through a whole mediation and process that they have. So we went through an entire mediation and investigation process. And then before you can bring a lawsuit, you have to do all of that. And at the end of it, they give you a letter like they gave Craig that says you have a right to sue now. So you can proceed to court if you want to proceed to court. And so, it took almost 2 years, but there's a cap on it too. They can only take about 2 years. I think in Texas, it's total exactly 2 years is their deadline.
So
then it goes to court.
So there was a possibility that the investigation would have gone against Mr. Craig and you wouldn't have been able to sue Fox.
Well, actually, even in that case, so even if they had gone against him, he would still be able to sue at the end of the day. They just might have issued a determination saying, we don't think there was discrimination here. Instead, they issued this determination that says, you're allowed to sue. We're not pursuing this ourselves, but you may proceed, and we're not finding anything significant.
Now, can I ask you a personal question, Mr. Doty?
Sure.
Are you married?
I am not.
Oh, do you believe in gay marriage? I mean, I'm not that you don't have. I mean, I'm asking you because your family. You come from Texas, and Texas is serious, like you said,
Christian country
that doesn't believe in stuff like this. What is your family saying about it? Do you believe in this?
So I have a number of friends and family with beliefs all over the map on this issue, and including people who are in same-sex marriages. I personally am a Christian, and so for me, it was part of my religious beliefs that no, I do not support same-sex marriage. I think it's bad public policy, but others are free to believe as they choose.
Exactly.
Right.
Well said.
Well said.
You respect other people's rights and opinions to do what makes them happy, even if you don't believe in it. It's very simple. That's what we all. That's what we all think over here.
And what Mr. Doty, what is the lawsuit amount that you're suing Fox?
We haven't gotten any precise dollar amount on paper, but it's significant. This ruined his career, basically.
Yeah, has he been working in the last 2 years?
He's now with Family Research Council. So oddly enough, that after Fox comes out and says, well, we can't have anyone here who disagrees with us on marriage and family, you just can't say those things and work at the network, which he didn't say those things at the network, and that's generated a lot of confusion. But be that as it may, Family Research Council then said, well, you can come talk with us or work for us, be our spokesperson about marriage and family issues. And so Craig's moved on, and he's doing that with him very successfully.
But what bothers me is that Fox seems to be a pretty liberal, conservative network, and I never saw them ever go against
a liberal
gay.
conservative.
Yeah, because they are.
Doesn't make any sense.
They're not right wing. They're conservative. That means
Fox is not right wing.
Balanced.
They're balanced. They're pretty balanced, and I'm sure there are other people that are even gay that work there. And I believe that they wouldn't. I mean, shouldn't you sue this executive directly, not just Fox? This guy who made this bad decision.
So we sued both. We sued Fox, and I guess we should be particular too. We're suing Fox Sports, which is distinct from Fox News.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to him before.
Most people think of the news.
Yeah.
But actually, Fox Sports is a separate entity, separate executives based out of Los Angeles. So we've sued those executives, and then we've sued the sports companies. So Fox Sports, Fox Sports Networks, essentially the corporations that those executives control, and the ones who are participating in this decision. Those are the ones we've sued. We haven't sued Fox News, for instance.
Yeah. To me, if it would be Fox News, it would be very surprising because they're very, very conservative. So to think that they would fire someone, for slightly anti-gay viewpoints would be pretty funny, because that's basically, the one news channel and the one media channel where they're very, very conservative. So I didn't think it was associated.
Anybody who wants to call into the show and ask a question, 718-303-9090, 718-303-9090, or you can email me your questions that I'm seeing at justenoughheshy@gmail.com, and I'll ask Mr. Doty any question.
But
go ahead, Esty.
It's just that I don't think that I forgot my question. Keep going.
But Mr. Doty, she forgot her question, but that's okay. We forget a lot of things on this show. Yeah. This gentleman, it took 2 years for you to get here, and again, this commission that reviewed, stating, "Hey, you are correct. They were biased against you. They fired you." Now Fox Sports sees that they're in trouble. They have the commission against them. They have people that have actually. They should have lost this. I mean, right now, according to the way you're speaking, they really have no chance. What is the Fox's defense, if they have any?
Well, we're eager to see how they respond. They have until the end of the month to respond, so they haven't formally had to respond to these allegations yet. In fact, I just saw a news article where they refused to comment on the statement that they made to the national media, and so we're very curious to see, because their only response so far in the depositions has been that, when we went out and said to the media that we fired you for your beliefs, we're actually lying. That was a false statement. So that has been their defense so far. But the thing is, that's what they were telling the media. That's what they're telling Craig. That's what they're telling everyone. If you look at the emails, they say the same thing. They're talking about this article. So, I mean, it's not much of a defense.
It can't be a coincidence.
Said so far.
It can't be a coincidence, right?
Right. No, so
right. You can be skeptical if the documents are different from the statements, but when you have the statements confirmed in multiple places and in the documents and in their own emails confirming the statements, I mean, there's only so much evidence.
No, so I wanted to make a statement, not a question. That's why. That's what, by the way, why religious people are like so against it. Like, for example, my parents, it's not that they're against gay marriage. They're against that eventually they're going to be it's going to be forced upon them. That's what
people are going to make your parents become gay marriage.
No. They're afraid that eventually they're going to ask rabbis, "Oh, you don't want to marry these people. You're going to pay a fine or go to prison or something." That's what their worry was. That's what gay marriage. It's getting very complicated because it's whose rights are you infringing, and the line just keeps going back and forth, and you just don't know.
No, but that's the law now.
I know, but that's what people are worried about, is that it's going to infringe on their religious beliefs. Otherwise, they wouldn't care.
Mr. Doty, is Craig James married?
He is. He is married with children.
And I'm sure that he has friends that are gay, and especially in sports. And you and I know over the last couple of years, a lot of these sports people have been coming out gay. He must have gay friends and stuff like that. I mean, and nobody has said anything for him or against him. I mean, what's going on over there? I mean, he would have been anyways had a lot of people would have been screaming about it if he would have ever mentioned it again.
Indeed, he does have friends, and in fact, that's part of what made this so upsetting. Is people he's known for years then read the news coverage and the headlines, and said, Craig, what is this? Because they know him personally to be a good guy and to welcome them regardless of their beliefs. In fact, when he was running for Senate, one of his key political consultants was an openly gay man. Right? So he has no problem working with people regardless of their sexuality and interacting with them. And so he took great offense, and it caused some problems. You know, people personally were coming up to him, asking him about it, and he explained, no, in fact, I'm kind to everyone, just as I've always been. But Fox Sports just decided they couldn't have someone there who didn't believe that same-sex marriage is a great thing. And so,
how old is Mr. Craig James?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think he's in his 50s, but don't pin me down on that.
No. So he's
old school.
He's old school. He's a middle-aged guy. And what has he been doing until now? Till the last 2 years before he ran for the Senate? You just mentioned to us.
Oh, so before he was at Fox Sports,
right?
Okay, so he departed from ESPN, ran for Senate, and then I think he took a little bit of a personal break just kind of after running a political campaign, decided he would take a little downtime. And he also has some business ventures on his own. So he was working through some of those things, and he has a ranch here, so he's working on a lot of those things. And then said, you know what, I'm going to ease back into broadcasting. And this was his first big jump back into broadcasting.
Welcome back. World has changed a little bit.
But now, isn't it? I mean, it's like, and don't get me wrong here. I know you're a lawyer, but I know that when you do a legal contract with somebody, did he sign a contract? I mean, he didn't just show up on the air one day and go broadcasting and sports announcing. They must have given him a contract.
So they did create a contract. They said, look, we want you to come on for the season. Here's the amount we're going to pay. Here's the number of shows you're going to do and what you're going to do on the shows. And they had their handshake, and they put all of this in emails. They had not completed the 40-page, all of the lawyers get together in a room version of the contract at the time. So he came on. He begins working on he does the first show before they've completed some giant contract like I think you're probably contemplating when you ask me that. But they did have a contract in the sense of they had an agreement that was written down about how much he was going to receive and how many shows he was going to do and what lawyers would call the key terms. So all the key terms were decided.
Was there an end to that term?
It was for the season. So it was about 13 shows.
13 shows.
So basically, I mean,
it really just started.
Wait, if they rehire him, are they going to fire him after the 13 months just because they can?
What?
Your lawsuit, what Esty's asking is your lawsuit, what do you want from Fox? You just want money, or do you want him to put him back on the air?
Well, we had asked for reinstatement before we ever filed the lawsuit and said, hey, people have to work together in the world. It would be better if we can just get back together, finish this out, less damaging for Fox, less damaging for Craig, and they can all get along. Now that we're a couple of years in, I don't think that's a likely possibility. So that would be open to that. But at this point, I think these folks are just going to have to part company. And so he's seeking damages instead. Although we have been open, we are still open to that.
Gotcha.
But isn't any contract allowed to be dissolved within 3 days of signature, or not? Or that only real estate that I know of?
It depends on the contract. Employment is generally at will, except that here they said, here's the term, here's the amount. I mean, they had agreed to something very specific.
Right.
So,
but if they would have fired him, or they would have let him go after the 13 episode contract, wouldn't have that hurt him as well? Hey, we're not bringing him back because we didn't think he did a good job. Or, I mean, either way, he would have been in trouble after that 13 shows.
Well, they could have just not hired him back on for a contract, and he could have gone on and done something else. What they in fact did here is cancel his contract and fire him, and then go on record. And not just they didn't just fire him. They told him, look, we're firing you for your belief. Then 5 days later, they come out and make a statement to the national media. We're firing the statement. I'll read it, but we just asked ourselves how Craig's statements would play in our human resources department. He couldn't say those things here. So they issue this statement that insinuates Craig's a really bad guy. We just can't have him. Or it says that. And they release that to the national media, which then hamstrings him because, his contract's canceled, he's been fired, and they give you the reason why. We just don't want to be associated with him. We think he's a bad guy.
What-
So whereas if they had just not renewed his contract, they wouldn't even be firing him. They would have just parted company on good terms, presumably, or at least not bad terms, and he could have gone on about his business. Whereas now he literally had people coming up harassing him, asking him about his views. His other business ventures are being harmed because people think, well, aren't you that crazy anti-gay guy? No, he's not any more than he was before.
I mean, Fox has a lot of lawyers, and Fox is a big time player. Are they just stupid? Don't they know what they were doing? I mean, they didn't see this coming, that this can cost them millions of dollars if they make this stupid error.
I don't know if the lawyers were even involved. So that's a great question. You would think they would. But I think
before they fired somebody, they have to consult with their lawyer.
No, they didn't. They didn't seem like it.
Well, normally, yeah.
They had a contract.
Right.
But
Well, that's the whole point of why you need the lawyers to tell you.
You know what it is? I find it funny that, they're so into like, oh, you have to accept gay marriage. You're so mean. Not accepting someone who doesn't accept gay marriage is just as mean as someone who's not accepting gay marriage. It's you not accepting someone else's view. That's what I don't get. Like they're being so offended. Like, oh, you don't accept gay marriage. You're so bad. Well, you don't accept someone who's religious. You're so bad. It's like the same difference. Like, I love how people on their side, it makes sense. But on the flip side, oh, you guys are like not tolerant. You're not tolerant for not being tolerant, for being against people who aren't tolerant.
Let Mr. Dottie talk. Go ahead, Mr. Dottie.
Oh, no, that's a great point. And as to the lawyer's point, I mean, this happened over an extremely short period of time. So he comes on Saturday, he does his show. So on Friday, there's this very first email talking about his beliefs. And by Sunday morning, he's fired. So in less than 24 hours, the executives at Fox Sports decided to fire him. And it was top-level executives who were making this decision. And so it doesn't appear, at least in the emails, there are no lawyers consulted in the emails that we have seen, that we can discuss. So,
but you and I know that this would have come out anyways if he would have been on the show, and some newscaster or news reporter would have brought this up. Oh, look, Fox hired a guy who's against gay marriage, and they would have knocked him, and reports and articles would have come around, and Fox maybe just didn't want to deal with it. I mean, and maybe he should have been more open about it. No.
Nobody was even focusing on it.
Well, he was open about it. He ran for Senate. He answered that question. There was actually an article or two at the time talking about the candidates' views on this. It quoted Craig. It quoted Senator, then Attorney Cruz, about their beliefs on marriage. So it's not like this was something new or unknown. It just wasn't really a big deal until they made it into a big deal. He wasn't planning to speak about it on the air. Or if that's what you're getting at.
See, I hate that. Like, you have one belief, and all of a sudden you can't do random things that have nothing to do with it. It makes no sense to me.
I had a question for you. Have you ever represented any other high-profile or famous cases that we would know about, or what's like your biggest piece of work? I guess I would say.
We represent a number of high-profile clients in a number of cases. For instance, we had a case at the United States Supreme Court a while back, and we do a number of cases with, I think these are among the ones that you might have heard of, but we do a lot of veterans memorials cases. So there was a Mount Soledad Memorial out in Los Angeles that we represented, represented the folks trying to keep the memorial up, but also helped the city in its efforts to keep the memorial up, where someone came along and said, well, you have this giant cross, you can't do that. So there's that. There's Mount Soledad. There's been a number of the veterans memorial cases that have been very high profile, and we filed briefs in the Muslim prisoner case. In labor and employment, this is more of a new area. So several years ago, we didn't have many labor and employment cases.
Yeah.
But largely because of marriage and marriage issues.
I was going to say, I'm sure now it's going to get.
Overzealous.
Yeah, it's going to get into a much bigger. It's going to be much more common now, obviously.
People should stop being so offended by just everything. Like, everyone's like so into, oh, you're not respecting my view. Like, just people should just stop being upset about.
Live and let live,
exactly.
my friends.
Yeah.
Now,
Indeed.
Now I have a question from my email, and the listener is asking a question. He says that, do you think most likely you will settle this case before trial? Yes, I know that's what we want, but he's asking, what are the chances that this will settle before it goes to trial?
And to some extent, that's a hard question for me to answer, given that I represent the client here. So I'll say this: we would be open to settling the case, but at least right now, it doesn't appear that that's likely. I don't know how likely I think that is. I mean, I think there must be pressure on Fox or a decision at Fox to keep this thing going, no matter what the cost. I know for Craig, it's important. It's not just about him, but it's about freedom to disagree and freedom of religion, freedom to hold a belief in general. And this case is much broader than just Craig James. This case is about employees. If I show up for work, am I going to be able to have a religious belief? I'm not going to do anything on it, but just to have this belief. Is an employer able to just terminate me? And so for him, it's about principle as well.
Now, there's a difference between religious belief and belief of like, for example, if I believe, you're right, I believe in my religion and for myself that gay marriage is wrong. But on the air, I mean, for a business, if you show up at somebody's business and you say, hey, man, gay marriage is wrong, that is, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I mean, tell us your opinion. You want to hold your own belief? That's fine, wherever you want at your own house. Like gay people, if you want to be gay, do it at home, not in the middle of the streets. But maybe Fox wasn't too. 1 minute, freedom of speech isn't freedom of speech to say whatever you want, but not. But Mr. Doty's saying he didn't say it on the air and he didn't say it over there. I get it. He just said it personally, and somebody asked him a question, and that's what he agrees. I hear what you're saying, Mr. Doty, and I'm very disappointed with Fox altogether.
Indeed, and that's a good point. Religious beliefs are actually the most protected under both federal law and Texas law, specifically for that reason. When you just hold a belief, there's nothing particularly dangerous or interesting to an employer about it. And courts and the legislatures have routinely said, look, you are able to hold a belief, even if that belief is something we don't like, even if it's something most people don't like. We're all free to disagree, especially when there's no actions involved. So here we don't even have to get into to other issues, right? So if he were out trying to proselytize the viewers, that would be a different situation. But here, he's not planning to speak about it on the air. He didn't speak about it on the air. He's never spoken about it on the air in the almost 20 years he's been on various television shows doing sports broadcasting.
Oh, so he has a lot of experience. We have a question for you. We have a caller that would like to ask you a question. Esty, how do we connect the caller into the show? His name is Mitch, and you're on the line. You're on the air, Mitch. You have Mr. Doty on the line.
Hi. How you guys doing tonight? First of all, it's nice speaking to this attorney, Mr. I'm going to say this right. Is it Doty?
Mr. Doty, yes.
Yes. Okay, let me say some very good things about Craig James, because I do know a lot about him. He is, by the way, Heshy, for your analysis, he's 54 and a half years old. He was born January 2nd, 1961, so I am a big fan of his. He was a graduate of Southern Methodist University, or SMU, blocking back for a great football player by the name of Eric Dickerson, and had
St. Louis Rams running back. Yeah, sure.
And a great career with the, unfortunately, with the team I hate the most, New England Patriots.
So do I. I hate them.
I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to hold that against him. But I've heard him on the air. He does good analysis on football. He knows football very, very well. And what disappoints me as a person who, you know me, Heshy, as a libertarian. I believe that people should be able to do what they feel is right as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. I have never listened to football, and I've been watching football since I'm about 9 years old. And let me tell you something, all the years watching football, whether it was listening to Howard Cosell or all the other people on the air, I have never heard anything political or anything in terms of marriage and gay and all that. I have never heard one. It's sports. I don't understand how Fox Sports should be ashamed of themselves that they would have gotten rid of him for that reason. If you get rid of a person because he isn't good on the air, that's one thing. But if you're going to get rid of somebody because of their religious beliefs, what's going to happen if somebody says that I'm Catholic, I'm Jewish, I don't believe in God? and then that's their feeling outside.
So you hear, Mr. Doty, you hear what Mitch is saying. It doesn't make sense that, I mean, when I know we're waiting for Fox's reply, but it just doesn't make sense to hire a guy with this kind of, what I just heard about Mr. Craig James, Mr. Craig, it's like Craig James, it just doesn't make sense that Fox would fire a guy with this kind of experience for something foolish as a comment that I'm against gay marriage.
It's stupid. It's like beyond. I don't understand. And by the way, Heshy, it's not surprising to me. Football in the last few years has gone wacko when it comes to the courts. They have a guy now who you might know. He's a quarterback for the Patriots, the team I hate, who's now going to federal court. In other words,
about a stupid ball inflating issue.
That stupid football thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Mr. Doty, what do you say? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to any of us.
I agree. It shouldn't make sense. I suppose as a graduate of Yale up the road there, this is very much the environment on campus. So if you speak about these things, it's unacceptable. And there's this notion that we can't hold differing viewpoints, at least on this issue. So there's a lot of passion in this issue of same-sex relationships, same-sex marriage that doesn't exist in other areas. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these cases. So it, from a rational, common sense standpoint, doesn't make sense. Completely agree. Why would you terminate someone?
Well, I'm going to Mitch, let Mr. Doty finish. We're going
to.
Oh, no, I'm just agreeing with you and with Mitch. It doesn't seem to make sense, except that passions are so high on this issue in particular, and there seems to be such a need to force it.
Major people in real history is, in terms of law, was the great Bart Giamatti, who, of course, was the former commissioner of in baseball. And, of course, his son's a great actor, by the way. But he would be turning over his grave, the great Giamatti, if he knew a case like this was a major case now. And all I got to say is I wish all the great love and success to Craig James. He's a great commentator. I enjoyed him on Fox Sports. And I liked him in college. And, again, the only thing I hated about him is that he did play for the Patriots. But that's my personal feeling. All right, guys, you have a good night.
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you very much. Thanks. Mr. Doty, well, you got one of us New Yorkers behind you 100%.
I got four of them, actually.
You got four of them. You got...
I don't get it. Did Fox expect them to sue? Did they think, we're just going to get off the hook on this? Like, what were they thinking?
Hey, that's a great question. That's a question we ask. They seem to have just been passionate about this and went ahead very quickly. So...
Well, Mr. Doty, before we let you go, tell us a couple of more cases. Are you working on any other major big thing that we should be ready for you in front of the Supreme Court very soon?
So we actually settled one that it was one of our Veterans Memorial cases that was about to head back to the Supreme Court once again, but we were able to resolve it. And so the Veterans Association now has the memorial. And so it's not going to be going back to the court, and the memorial is going to get to stand. But we have been handling a number of cases in this area. So this is actually one of several we have where an employee shows up for work and is told you're fired based on a belief particular to marriage. So, for instance, there's one in Georgia we have with a doctor who had been the director of public health out in Pasadena, African-American man, very talented, praised in the community. He then... Through a series of random coincidences, he's invited to the speaking opportunity. People begin researching him, find out that he is also a lay preacher at a church, Seventh-day Adventist church. And so he'd spoken about marriage. Well, that upset people because the previous speaker had been disinvited and he was a gay man. And so they decided to start petitioning the city and talking about his beliefs. So then things are publicized. He then is hired by the state of Georgia, which, Georgia is a fairly conservative place, but he goes and they hire him. He begins preparations to move his family across the country, and and he tells them about, here are my beliefs. They say, okay, that's fine. But then they divvy up his sermon. So we have the emails where they say, look, you read this, you listen to this sermon, you listen to that sermon, you listen to the other sermon. And the next morning they call him up and say, look, we can't have you here. We're sorry. You're fired. You're not going to be able to come work for us. And so it was particular about it was about his beliefs. So the only thing that changed is they went and looked and found out, what does this guy believe about marriage? Now, in his case, it's even sadder because he had been involved in setting up free treatment for things like AIDS and HIV and clinics there in Pasadena. He's actually trying to help members of the same-sex community who have been really affected and devastated by these things. And so he's doing everything you would want the guy to do professionally, very well respected, and local officials spoke well of him even after all of this happened. So that's Dr. Eric Walsh. That's one of our cases. We also, and it may be interesting to your listeners, represent an Orthodox synagogue here in Dallas, in the Dallas area.
Wow.
Where they open a synagogue, and they're, as you'll know, they can't, it's not like people think of it as like a church where everyone's going to drive up from all over the place, but on Sabbath, they don't drive. They walk, they live in the neighborhood. So they're having this synagogue, and it's meeting in a house. And one of the neighbors says, no, we don't want a synagogue here. You can't do that. And the city itself actually came in and said, no, you need to change this. You can't operate a synagogue out of a home, but you could have a Super Bowl party. You could, have your neighbors over for beers every week, whatever you want to do, but you can't have this synagogue meeting. Even though it's only, dozen, 15 people meeting in a house, saying prayers, doing their Torah studies. And so we represented that synagogue and have been able to.
Thank you for that.
Wait, so aren't you allowed to have any sort of gathering? Like
No.
in Russia, it wasn't allowed to have a gathering of more than 3 people, right? But over here, we can have a gathering.
It's considered an official assembly. It's a whole complicated
So
thing.
if we have an official assembly, we're not allowed to have official assembly in America?
Depends. You need to have a certain designated place for it.
Wow, so we're like Russia?
No, it's legal. You just have to actually have it like on record.
Before we get off the air with you, we are coming to the end of the first hour. I want to ask you one question. Is that okay with you, Mr. Doty? And it's completely off the topic. Do you believe in capital punishment or not as a Texan? Let's go.
Wow, we're just hitting all kinds of topics.
Right, because we don't believe in capital punishment here. Well, Z does, not me. And we know you Texans, you got fried 3 more this week, and you got no problems with that.
Can I just add something really quick about this whole capital punishment thing?
No, I want to hear his opinion. Yes or no? He's a former prosecutor.
I know a couple people who are against capital punishment. They're against the death penalty. But when they found out that this guy, this dentist, killed a lion in Africa, their first reaction was, we should hang this guy. So if you're a murderer and a rapist and you kill human beings, we shouldn't kill them. But if you kill a lion in Africa, then, all of a sudden, now we should kill you.
But that's just a question on
those
guys.
Backwards. Yeah, because they're backwards and have no logic.
That's Mr. Doty, capital punishment or not? And we know what your answer is going to be, but go ahead, say it.
Well, okay, so for the record, I'm not the former prosecutor. That's one of my colleagues.
Okay.
So this is just me. But yeah, no, and I think it's appropriate for the state to punch back, as it were.
I don't know. I don't know. A lot of mistakes over the
years.
Well, a lot of mistakes.
I think it depends on what the situation is. When there's a clear-cut case where it's on video and like 400 witnesses that this guy came into the school and killed 12 kids, then they should kill him. I'm not talking about maybe the guy did it and it's a trial and an error. Then it's not so clear-cut. But as far as when it's 100%. How can we what?
How can we take it into our own hands? It's like a God-given right or a universe-given right to kill people.
Because he killed people, so now he made it seem like
I don't think it works like that. You did something.
Guys, all I asked him was, Mr. Doty, thank you for your time tonight. You've been a wonderful guest on the show, and we'd love to hear from you again. And good luck with. We're going to be watching and paying attention to how things proceed with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love the show, and you guys are great. These are just great questions. So this is fantastic. If you want more of our cases, more information, feel free to look us up, libertyinstitute.org. And I would love to speak with you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe later on, as the trial, if there's a trial, we want you to comment to us and tell us what you think. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and we'll be in touch. Thank you, everybody. You've been listening to Cleve Doty.
Come on, after an hour, you got to get it right.
I got to get it right. Wow, this guy's very interesting. I mean, I think
he knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. I mean,
So yeah.
What's your opinion?
Well, now is a very busy time.
But I have a question for you.
As the laws change.
My belief, listen to this. I understand I run you over. You have to sue me. I understand I steal from you. You have to sue me. I kill you. There are lawsuits, court cases. But now we're suing or we're firing people. I mean, whichever way you want to think of it, because of what somebody believes. I mean,
it's going to get crazy in America. Right now, it's going to go mad.
If you believe in God, you could. I mean, that was the whole objective of America. But again, Fox is a private, even though it's a public held company, they are a business, and they could do whatever they want. I mean, no.
Wrong.
No, that's you can't discriminate in your store. You can't decide in your candy store, oh, no.
So that's what his case is.
Why not?
So that's what Mr. Doty's case is.
You're all over the place. You're liberal, you're conservative. Why not? Why
I'm not pro people being racist, but I'm thinking, as America, you should be able to do what you want. If you don't want certain people in your house, that should be allowed.
We didn't say house, we said work.
Even
we said hire people. So if I made a rule, no hiring black people, you're okay with that?
I don't mean like that. I mean like,
let's
say you have a store. Like if you have a store and you are afraid of black people because you're crazy, I don't know if you shouldn't be allowed to say, oh, I don't want them in. It's cruel, it's mean, and you suck as a person. But like, I don't know if.
Okay, I got a good check cashing place for you to get a job at. I have a good location.
Why they're
been
like
looking
racist?
for people. Every few weeks they need someone else.
Anyways, everybody, we have a lot to talk about in the second hour. We're going to talk about Donald Trump. We have a guest coming on the show who is Esty. Tell us who the guest on the next part of the show is. It's going to be very interesting, everybody. You're going to freak out who this guy is.
He's the first person. He's the first liver donation to a complete stranger in New York because it wasn't legal till now. He donated a piece of his liver to a complete stranger, which wasn't legal till now. He's the first one from New York. My brother-in-law.
And and let's keep going. Does he believe in God or not?
No, but that has nothing to do with anything. He does it because he's good. He doesn't do it because God's going to reward me.
He didn't do it because of God. He did it because he's just a good guy.
He's just a good guy. You have any idea how much he lost money doing this because the government's so strict on not being paid for it? He had to take a month off out of his job. Not get paid, take off all his sick days because the government's so into not being paid for donating things, which is ridiculous.
I guess we're going to have a problem not talking about Donald Trump. Esty, tell us before we go to commercial break, what show are they listening to and what are we doing about it?
So, you guys are listening to the Just Enough Heshy show. We're
the informative show. Today we weren't funny, we were serious.
Yes, we're on Monday and Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. You can catch us on Facebook, Just Enough Heshy, Twitter. You can hashtag Just Enough Heshy. We're live on YouTube, and you can email us at justenoughheshy@gmail.com, or you can call in at 718-303-9090. We have our advertisers, Mr. Clean's Dry Cleaning. They do free pickup and delivery. If you mention the Just Enough Heshy show, you get 25% off. You can reach him at mrcleandelivers@gmail.com. You can call in at 347-369-3051. We have the Black Label electronic cigarettes. You can go to blpremiumesig.com or call Mikey at 561-239-5941. We have Green Line Building Solutions. They do asbestos and lead inspection, DOB, HPD, code compliance, they lift stop work orders, and they do free consultation. You can reach them at 718-871-0382. If you guys are looking to advertise with us, we've gotten good feedback from people. You should advertise with us. Email us at justenoughheshy, Heshy spelled Heshy @gmail.com. So yeah.
Okay, everybody. I want to ask you a trivia question, and my brilliant co-hosts, I'm hoping they'll figure this one out today. I came up with an easy one for all of you guys, so I'm hoping you get this right. Are you ready for this, Neil? Here we go. Everybody knows what the atomic bomb is, correct?
No, what is it?
Oh, okay. Big funny. Here's my question. What was the code name of the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945?
I know one of the two.
Wait, because I have to say my quotes. I'm going to give you four multiple choice questions. And you can email us your answer. Is it A, fat man? Is it B, little boy? C, Trinity, or D, mountain lion?
I know the answer.
Okay, when you come back, you're going to give us your question. You're going to give us your answers, or you can email us at justenoughheshy@gmail.com and give me your answer. And I hope, look at this. He's texting and ready to Google what the answer is. Here's my goodbye quote for the second half of the show. You ready, everybody? Greatness. And this is what I want you all to be, is great. The greatness of a man is not how much wealth he acquires, but is in but in his integrity and his ability to affect those positively around him. Mr. Doughty, you are greatness. Thank you. We'll be right back after the commercial break. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. While our new guest is getting situated and everybody's running around, I guess, I don't know, smoking and things, I'm going to give you a couple of, I want to give you a joke. And Este's going to kill me when I say this joke, but I have no choice.
No, it's going to be funny. I read some of them. I thought they were great.
So my wife asked me, how would you describe me? So I said to her, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So my wife says to me, what does that mean? I said, adorable, beautiful, cute, delightful, elegant, fashionable, gorgeous, and hot. So my wife, I figured she'd forget after all that wording. I figured she'd forget what the rest of it. She says to me, she says, thanks me. She says, and what does IJK about? What does that mean? I said, I'm just kidding. So I didn't mean that, sweetheart. You're my cover, and I did not mean that. And it was a cool joke. Anyways, welcome back into the show, everybody. We're going to talk to our guest. What's his name? Yitzchak, welcome to the show, and we want to get to you in a minute. By the way, I have a question for you, Esty. Did you see the debate?
I did see the debate. I was like, I'm on the show after the politics. I watched it. It's very interesting. So basically, Ted Cruz looks like Robin Williams to me. And the other guy, what's his name? Something Scott.
Will you vote Donald or not if he comes up? You are Republican.
I know, but my father's pro him, so I like him because
pro who?
Donald Trump.
So he's going to go with
forget about what everyone else is telling you. From what you saw at the debate, who did you like? Who were you like? Wow, he knows what he's talking about.
Okay, well, actually, it was the guy. I don't know his name. He's a preacher. I thought he spoke very well, but apparently it's based on what they've done in the past and not just how they speak then.
But you understand, and this is what's going around all the talk shows and everybody's screaming about.
Yeah.
I gave it to you.
Okay. Yeah, what? Hi.
So my question to you is Esty, President Obama, and before him you had President Bush.
They were all bashing him and
doesn't
Hillary.
make a difference. But my point is Donald Trump is, let's just say he gets the nomination.
Yeah.
I mean, to be a president, it's not only somebody coming out and saying.
He ran a business. He was bankrupt three times. He's got to do it right.
It's not even running the business. Is he presidential? Remember,
that's what they love about. Actually, I was talking.
But that's a problem.
Hold on, I was talking to
somebody. He's going to be representing. You think the CEO of a big company could just walk around in dirty underwear on the street, walking around smoking drugs? No,
I was talking to some random person. I was saying why I'm pro Donald Trump, and some random guy's like, yeah, he speaks his mind. I love that. Just like a random guy, they love that he's just outspoken. He can't keep a secret. He's going to tell us what's going on.
But even if he does the job, even if he wants to do the job, is there? Is he presidential? Yitzchak, before we get to you, do you believe Donald Trump is presidential material? Not that he can't do the job. Will he act his part? Remember, president is also an act.
Did we introduce him already on the show?
I did introduce him, and I will. Yitzchak, before we get to your personal story, tell us, do you believe Donald Trump has a chance, and are you a Republican or a Democrat?
At the risk of tainting the message that I'd like to bring, I'm going to refrain from commenting on who's presidential and who's not. If that's okay.
Why not? It's a radio. You can say whatever you want, dude.
Nobody knows it. But do you believe? I mean, okay. Do you like Donald?
I don't know him personally. I can't say if I like him or not.
But, yeah, so all the newscasts and all the radio shows and everything, everybody talks about him. You have no opinion on Donald.
That's information I've heard from news. That's not information I know by meeting him, or I'm unable to.
Well, when you do vote in the next election, you're going to have to pick somebody.
I don't vote.
So we answered the question right there. Excellent. So we're going to leave you alone on that. Yitzchak, let's get to you right now. Neil is not around to hear who you are, but we'll get to Neil's going to ask a question. You are the first person in New York. Go ahead. Tell us about what you did and this thing. I would like to know.
So there's no fixed list as to that could show whether or not it's a first. It's most likely among the first at the very least, because until recently at least, it was not allowed. Adults were not allowed to donate livers to other adults unless they were close family or close friends.
Really?
The reason while I don't know the exact reason, generally with the reason for these policies are they want to prevent people from being coerced. They want to prevent people from being paid for their organs, which both coercion and organ compensation are both illegal.
So if you needed a liver transplant, you only could take it from a dead person.
Yes.
Dead person, family member, or very close friend.
Uh-huh.
How do they know if it's a very close friend or not?
So I've never heard of anyone donating to a friend as part of that group of family members, but that's what I've been told.
Now you donated it. You don't know who you donated it to. Do you know the illness that the other person had?
I believe it was cirrhosis.
And will this solve the person's problem?
Well, this cirrhosis affects the liver, so she no longer has a liver that was diseased.
So once you take out the liver, everything is fine. It reboots basically.
There are, the body's going to try to reject a foreign object. There are other things that come up with a new liver, but overall, you're cured. But
you're a match.
So livers are apparently easier to match than kidneys, although they're more difficult to transplant. It's not necessarily difficult; it's more risky to transplant. Kidneys are more difficult to match.
How long ago did you do this transplant?
July 14th.
July 14th of this year.
Yes.
And you seem to be recovered. I mean, I know you went through a very tough stage. At any operation where somebody cuts you open, whatever, you go through a very tough period. You are better now. You are recovered.
I feel much better. They had a policy since I live in Wisconsin.
You look pretty healthy.
Yeah, you look
I never
very good.
met you for more than a second, but you definitely look like you're, pretty healthy. So that's good.
Thanks. So I live in Wisconsin, and only Columbia, as far I know in Wisconsin you can't donate to. It's called altruistic donation when you donate to a stranger. In Wisconsin you can't do it, but in New York, at least in New York City, I'm only aware of Columbia that allows you to do it. So we did this at Columbia. They have a policy where they're not going to let you go through a donation unless you commit to staying local for a month.
Oh,
so as far as how I feel perfectly fine. If I worked in New York, I would probably have been back to work 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
but due to the fact that I have to stay local, I'm not at work. But I feel very much.
Have you met this person that you donated to, or no?
I met the individual the day that I was discharged.
The day that was it. You didn't know the person before, and you met him. And how are they doing now? This other person.
So, the recipient will take longer to recover than the donor typically, because first the donor is healthy going in, the recipient is not as healthy going in.
How long did this recipient still have to live, or was he near death?
That information was not shared with me. They tend to keep this. If it's an altruistic donation, they have to keep the information.
But somebody like that would be on top of the list, which means they're in very desperate straits.
So this wasn't done through the list. This was done through a matchmaker. Her name is Chaya Lipschitz. She reached out to me asking me if I was interested. She knew me from before. So people contact her looking for donors, and people contact her looking to donate, and she matches them up.
So somebody could have paid you under the table and nobody knows about it.
Well, thankfully no one did, because I don't like breaking the law. But no, nobody paid me. She doesn't operate in that manner.
I understand that, but it is possible now with this new law that people could take advantage of it, and
it is possible, but immensely unlikely.
Why?
There are one, you always have a deterrent of jail time, which has happened. There's a recent, I think 5 years ago, there was a story in New Jersey where a rabbi was caught arranging payments.
Correct.
Yes, that was like, what was it, 2-3 years ago? They busted a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, and among them was somebody who dealt with organ compensation. And so I don't know if he's still sitting, but there is a deterrent of jail time. There's also the hospitals are very careful about who they take, why they take them. You go through a psych eval, you meet with social workers, you meet with many different doctors. They want to know everything.
How long was the process from beginning till you donated the liver?
I was contacted, I believe, in March. We reached out to the hospital together. Beginning of April was my first evaluation. And then there were a couple of subsequent evaluations, and the surgery took place on July 14, which was pretty much the soonest.
But you live in Wisconsin. Yes. How did Cornell interview you and go through the psych evaluation?
It was Columbia, not Cornell.
Columbia.
But I flew in.
On your own expense or their expense?
At the beginning, it was my own expense. The thing is, so there are organizations that compensate you for your costs, but they don't do it retroactively. So the first trip or two was on my pocket, but after that, I was reimbursed.
Now, how did they know you were a match for the liver?
My understanding, and I'm not a doctor, so take it with a grain of salt. My understanding is liver matching itself is done by blood type. However, there's an additional caveat where they're not just going to cut off a chunk of the liver and give it to the recipient. The liver naturally is divided into two sections. My understanding, again, I'm not a doctor. My understanding is that they'll take one of the sections and give it to the recipient. Now, they want to make sure that the section they leave in you is big enough for you, and the section they're giving to the recipient is big enough for them. They don't choose where to divide. That's already chosen.
No, but how do they know that you were a match for this person? Where did they find you? You were just walking down the street?
No. So Chaya knew me because I had tried to donate a kidney 5 years ago, and I was unable to. So she just kept.
Why were you unable to donate a kidney?
We had a woman on the show here a few months ago.
A man on the show.
No, woman also.
We had a woman too? No, we only had a man on the show. Whatever, go ahead. You tried to donate a kidney?
Yes.
And why'd they turn you down?
When you're a fetus, your kidneys develop in the front. They're sort of in the pelvic area.
You're right, it was.
And then they recede as you develop. One of my kidneys remained in the front, although it functions perfectly fine. They didn't want to. Once you got anomalies in the part that you'd like to donate, they turn you down.
Can I ask you, how old are you?
25.
You're 25 years old, and you want to give away parts of your body. Why? Who are you? Are you Superman? Are you an angel?
No,
why?
So it's very. I think it's very, very simple. It's difficult to try to describe this to someone that I don't know. So I will try not to make any assumptions about anyone here.
Remember, you had to explain this to your parents, and your parents weren't too happy about it.
I just had to explain it to my wife.
And your wife was good with it?
Yes. She knew that this was a topic that's very dear to me, and she supported me.
And you could have died under the table.
That was very unlikely.
But you could have. There's always a percentage, 5%, 2%. I mean,
you can die getting out of bed. I agree. There's a difference in that risk. I do agree. I'm not trying to misinform anyone. There's definitely a higher risk with surgery than there is of getting out of bed. But the risk is not. I don't think the risk of death is enough to warrant needing to worry over.
Okay, we're going to get back to you in a second. Esty, tell us about the show, please.
So, you guys are listening to the Just Enough Heshy show. We are on Monday and Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. You can like our Facebook page. Just type in Just Enough Heshy. You can follow us on Twitter, #Just Enough Heshy. We're live on YouTube, and you can email us at justenoughheshy@gmail.com or call us at 718-303-9090. Our advertisers are Mr. Clean's Dry Cleaning. They do free pickup and delivery. If you mention the Just Enough Heshy show, you get 25% off. You can reach him at mrcleandelivers@gmail.com. And you can also call him at 347-369-3051. We have the Black Label electronic cigarettes. You can order them at blpremiumesig.com or call Mikey at 561-239-5941. Green Line Building Solutions, they do asbestos and lead inspection, DOB, HPD, code compliance. They lift stop work orders, and they do free consultation. You can reach them at 718-871-0382. What? You give me a paper. September 8 is our last show. We will resume on October 12th.
Right, so we're gonna season 1 of the Just Enough Heshy show ends on September 8th, and season 2, a more exciting and more better season will not better. We just keep improving as we go on. We'll resume when October the 12th. Esty, before I would have got, I just want to tell you, I'm not a smart guy like you, because I would never donate a piece of my body to anybody for no reason whatsoever. And not that I think it's a bad thing, and I don't want to say, God forbid, if I might need it, and then it could be held against me. But I'm scared for people. I had an operation. I'm scared to have another one. And didn't go through a severe operation like you. I went through a dumb, stupid little operation. But wow, the pain that I was in for a month later, the crying, and I made my little sons run around me and serve me and carry me. It was great for a while.
You do it for yourself, basically.
Yeah,
You do it for
and
the
I'm embarrassed to
respect
say
and
that
the
to you.
honor.
And I
that's
want to,
sad.
let me tell you a funny story.
That's not altruistic at all. It's the opposite.
I want to tell you a funny story. I was in the city, and it was 8 o'clock at night, and I parked my car in front of a building, okay? I parked my car in front of the building. I remember my son is in Israel now, so I don't know what the license plate of my car is. He knows everything. So I parked my car in front of a construction site, but it's 8 o'clock at night. I know it's closed. I moved it back. The barricades are open. Nobody's going to tell me I have no tickets on the car. I come out an hour later, not even an hour later. Boom, the car is missing. I'm in shock. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm screaming. I call 911. She says, "No, you know you didn't. You know the car's not stolen." I said, "It's stolen." Well, what's the license plate number? I said, "I don't know." Find it out. Anyways, I do get a call back a couple minutes later from the police officer, and he says, "We're coming." Okay, fine. While I'm hanging out there, I call Israel, and I said to myself, "Listen, the car is missing." He says, "It can't be missing. You know, you talk about. I'm telling you, the car is missing." I said, "Do you know the license plate number?" From Israel, he tells me the license plate number, and he checks. There are no tickets on the car. I should have never been towed. It might have been these Nazis at the construction site that moved it, which it could have been, you know. But 8 o'clock at night, the building is shut down. So anyways, the cops show up. Very nice, 2 police officers. Now listen to me. I'm talking nice about the police officers.
I was wondering what happened.
Right, that's how much it is. So I'm standing on the street with them, and we're joking around with them, and they go through all the things. They're typing in the computer. They said, "No, your car was not towed." I said, "Listen to me, man. Here's a picture of my car parked. I purposely did it with the sign to make sure that when I get a ticket, I can file it. My son doesn't scream at me later on. I'm telling you, this is where I parked." He said, "Listen to me, my friend. Sometimes I'll take you with me." He says, "But I'll give you the report." But he says, "Sometimes you people forget." I said, "You people?" He says, "Yeah, people forget." And he tells me a story that he was upstate and he forgot where he parked. He says, "Get in the back of the car." I says, "Hell no, I'm not getting back into a police car. I'm not getting in the car for no reason." I called my son in Israel. I said, "Listen, I'm in trouble. I'm getting back in a police car." Now remember, for him, it's 4 or 5 in the morning. I keep waking him up. He's having an attack. He says, "Stop calling me." So anyways, I get in the car. I call Penny, my friend, doesn't pick up his phone. I call Moshe, my son, doesn't pick up the phone. The son in Israel picks up the phone who can't do nothing. I call Neil, my buddy, doesn't pick up the phone. I'm lying. You did pick up the phone. But you weren't going to come get me from the city. Anyways, the cop says to me, "What does the car look like?" I said, "It's a minivan. Here's the plate number." And he says, "Okay, listen to me. Just come in the car with me and we'll drive. Maybe. I promise you, we drove." He says to me, "What does it look like, that car?" I said, "No." He points to that car on the corner where they turns, and he points there and he says, "Is that the car?" I said, "Oh, shoot, that's the car. 1 block." I said, "Listen, Mr. Officer, police officer, I swear to you the car was parked there." He says, "Maybe you gave the keys to somebody to move it." I said, "I gave the keys to somebody to take something out, but I wouldn't park by a fire hydrant. It's against the law." He says, "Come on." He says, "It could be that they towed your car with you a block in the spot and they moved it a block down. And since they know your Uncle Heshy, they left it over here." He was being very nice to police officers. And he hung out with me for 10 more minutes. We had a good laugh. So I want you to know, New York City police officers, kudos to you. I'm giving you
Not
2
all
points.
of them are so bad.
Yeah,
All
not
right.
bad. This was a wonderful guy, and he put up with me, and he says it happens quite often. So listen, everybody.
But you're going to go check out your dementia, right?
Not dementia. I made a mistake.
Alzheimer's.
And just like this young gentleman sitting in front of us who could do something, and we have to thank him. We have to thank him for giving away part of his liver, and now here's my next question to you, which is going to be very hard, and my co-hosts are going to scream at me. To what I understand, and the little gossip that I got on you is, you don't believe in God. No. You have there is no God.
Exactly.
Not that he's evil or good like me. I believe he's evil or good or whatever. There is non-existence of God.
If you ask me, no, there's no God.
So then what
Remember,
motivates
you can't shake your head on the radio. You got to answer us.
Fair enough.
So what motivates you to do these altruistic
And
things?
not only what motivates you, besides being a good boy, but my question to you is who created you? What is your? I mean, that's how we're going to start first.
He can explain to you down to detail science, evolution, but it would take way too long, and he wouldn't it's science stuff that you probably wouldn't know.
Oh, it's science stuff.
It's not science stuff, but is there
Is that the technical term for it, Esty?
Yeah, okay. So my question is like Z asked you, very Neil, ask him. I mean, why would you give a stranger and this girl Chaya Lipman out of the blue calls you up and say, hey, Yitzchak, I want you to give away a liver. Go jump in the lake. What do I care about saving another person? Yes, that's nice. I'll give you a couple bucks.
No, I'm actually very happy that you asked that, and this also ties into something else.
And remember, if you die, there's no afterlife for you. So you blew it at 25.
Which I will respond to as well, but I will first respond to the first question.
Go ahead.
Which I'm really happy you asked. Look at it this way: you have children. I gather from what I've heard you say so far.
The stories,
Uncle Heshy.
Uncle Heshy and uncles, nephews. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So I don't know if they're adults or not, but at some point they were children, and you were responsible for them. I assume you love them.
I love them.
Now imagine for a moment.
I have a problem with one of them right now, but I forgave him. I forgave him. Go ahead.
Listening by any chance?
So imagine for a moment that, imagine for a moment that they're little children. They're dependent on you completely. You're responsible for them. You love them dearly, and you know that in 6 months you are no longer going to be here to give them everything they need, everything that you're supposed to give them. In 6 months, you will not be able to do so. You need to break this to them. They need to come to terms with that, and it's not just that you're going to suffer because of the pain of knowing that you will not be able to provide for your children because you will no longer be here, but it's also your children needing to come to terms with the fact that the father they love and the father that is dear to them is no longer going to be there, and that is absolutely devastating.
Okay.
Now imagine, step out of those shoes for a second, and as an observer watching that happen, knowing that you can stop that, all that pain, you can get rid of that in the snap of a finger. Wouldn't you do it?
The point is, it's not a snap of a finger. You're right. If I have to walk around and raise money, which I've learned to do, got you. If I have to go out and give them money, fine. If you want me to go clean the guy's shoes or wash the house, I got you. But to cut myself open, that I myself, this is the question that goes on to the beginning of time. Do you give up your life for somebody else? And the answer, according to all the Bibles, the answer is no. According to all the atheists, the answer is no. And you're right. At war, you do run into war and you defend your country or your brotherhood or so on, and you give up your life for your country. Again, those are crazy heroes that would do stuff like that. And you're right. I never know what a hero is. I believe I'm a hero, but I did a couple of weeks ago, which I know want to remind my community. But the point is, I didn't put my life in jeopardy.
So putting your life in jeopardy is not the same as giving up your life. There is a risk, and we do need to analyze that risk. I have responsibilities as well. I have 2 children that I'm responsible for, and I do not have the right to throw myself away and take a father away from those 2 kids. So it's not that we're saying that I'm killing myself for this other person. I'm taking a risk, and the risk in reality is not that high. It's 0.2%, which is. We take risks like that on, I would say.
I got you. You wanted to give away a liver that would regrow and you're back to normal. Like you can donate again a liver?
No. So the way the liver works is, like I said, you have 2 sections. What regrows is one section grows to the size of what the liver, almost the size of what the liver was before, but you don't get your 2 sections back. Time thing.
It's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
So you can have, but it seems like you want to give away all parts of your body. First, you want to give away your kidney. Now
the hospital was concerned with that. Actually, they asked me, "Are you trying to harvest your entire body for others?"
Right.
But so hospitals thankfully will not let you do that. If they think that you have this thing for donating organs and you just want to give a lung, give some of your intestines, they'll shut you down and probably maybe try.
Do you give blood?
Yes, I gave blood until now, and now I'm going to have to take a little break from that because.
But after a couple months, you'll be able to give blood.
As soon as my doctor says I can, I will.
I give blood every 8 weeks. Now,
Really?
My next question, I do. I've already gave blood now, and we're trying to set up a blood drive. Musabi, we're going to get. We couldn't get the Bika Cholim for some reason. They didn't like us, but we're going to get another organization to join us. Are you a donor are you an organ donor on your thing?
Absolutely, I am, and I'm also very glad you brought that up because I understand that in Orthodoxy, in modern Orthodoxy, a lot of people do have it, and ultra-Orthodoxy, they tend not to. And I very much believe that is due to misinformation. Halachically, we should be donating our organs after death, and I've heard many arguments against it, and I believe for each. So, back. So people come up with various different arguments. Essentially, it boils down to there are three things that we pretty much give up our lives for. It's we don't kill people to save our lives. We don't commit adultery to save our lives. We don't commit idol worship to save our lives. Right. However, burying a body is none of those. Burying a body doesn't fall into that category. And if saving a life requires not burying a body, we absolutely have to save a life. We're talking about pekuach nefesh here, and there's no two ways about it.
But you don't believe in God, and you're using halacha for your own benefit.
No, I'm using halacha to argue with people who believe in halacha that they should donate their organs after death. The reason I personally believe we should donate our organs after death
we believe in the afterlife, so if we come back and we're missing our lungs and kidneys, and it's not going to work out so well.
So the response to that is that is very much a medrash, and there's also a medrash that says that all God needs is a tiny bit of your spine to recreate you. So,
like,
who said he's recreating?
Sorry, to resuscitate you.
Says who?
Like
the same medrash that is a similar source that says that God needs a body in order. God created you from nothing, according to what you believe. You're telling me God is not capable of resuscitating you without your kidneys and livers?
100%.
What is that called again?
When people not sick and all these other things too. But who said that's
what is it called when you have a little DNA and they recreate your whole body? What is that?
Jurassic Park. It's called.
Not Jurassic, but what's it really called?
Cloning.
Cloning. They clone. So God clones us back to normal.
Well, either way, we're talking about saving lives here. We're not talking about making our lives easier. And when it comes to saving a life, halacha is very clear. You do it unless it violates those main three ones. And
but why? Again,
I don't know. Why someone has to go out of their way to do it.
Sorry,
it's not your job.
I don't know if everyone has to go out of the way to give an organ to save somebody.
There are currently more than 110,000 people who need kidneys.
Right.
I'm fairly certain that, and a lot of cadavers you can't.
But you're also putting yourself at risk.
But I'm just saying, there's no requirement for me,
for your family. There is
to seek out somebody that might need a kidney.
They already exist. These people, you're not seeking them out. There's a list of them. There are names.
But I don't have to. That's not something I choose not to do.
As a person that's dead, you're right. You don't have to because you no longer have
alive.
Any
I'm talking about when I'm alive.
Oh, when you're alive, you don't have to do it because you're taking a risk.
Right.
It's a great thing to do.
It's wonderful, sure.
But if there was 100% not risky, I would do it in a heartbeat.
But as a cadaver,
God forbid I give away one kidney and then the other one has a problem, then I'm just as screwed.
But as a cadaver, your family has an obligation to try to use your organs to save a life. It goes to waste otherwise.
Why do they have that obligation?
Because there's no risk to anyone. There are people who need it. There are people who are dying without it.
But there might be, again, I'm not well versed in what's supposed to happen in the afterlife or anything.
But that's a medrash. This is halacha. One clearly trumps the other.
I'm not competent to make any argument with you because I don't know the halacha and I don't know the other side.
Okay.
I'm just discussing
is law.
I'm actually discussing it with you. I don't know. I'm not the. But
Yitzchak, Mike, when you die, not yet, but in a couple of 100 years or whatever it is, will you donate your entire body to science or will you be buried?
So my intention is to donate my organs to save lives and my body to science, absolutely. Whether my intentions will be fulfilled is a different question.
What do you mean? If you put that in your will, nobody can override you. Your parents can't override you. Your sister can't override you.
You underestimate my parents.
So wow. And now, doesn't your wife make such a decision anyway? But that's only if she's around. Does she have the same kind of spiritual beliefs as you?
My wife is religious. She's Orthodox.
And
religious. She also, I believe, will be donating organs after death. And there's actually a halachic site that offers cards for organ donors that should be done in a halachic manner with a rabbi present and making sure everything is followed.
Well, yeah, there's a whole. We had the guy here. What was the place called?
Rye Verman?
Right.
No,
right.
What was the center called?
I forgot.
Renewal kidney.
No, that's for live donations. I'm referring to cadaver donations,
Gotcha.
Where it's called halachic organ donor society.
But I think that you gave somebody this girl Chaya Lipman calls up and says, "Give me your liver," Mike Lipschitz. And why did you do that? Why didn't you go to the main line and somebody who's number one on the line? Since you didn't care anyways who the other person was, why didn't you go to the number one on the list and give them, or number 10, whoever meets your criteria? Why to her? It's not fair.
So
anybody who matches on the list, that's like you said, it's more important. There's 110,000 people on the list.
for kidneys, not livers.
Whatever, kidneys, livers, how many people on the liver list? 15,000. I'm sorry, that's still a lot of people that are dying any day. Why didn't you go to the list? Why did you cut the list? Why, don't you think that's not fair?
So
I'm sure this girl, Chaya
it's a good question.
makes money.
Okay, so I want to make one thing clear. She's a fantastic human being, and she's not doing this for money. She is doing this to save lives. There's no two ways about this. Yes,
non-profit.
I don't know if she has an organization even.
We have a saying around here that the best profit is non-profit.
I don't question her motives at all.
No, anybody that does this.
But again, why did you go to the main registry?
When I was turned down for a kidney, I tried donating a liver, and I was told, no, we don't allow you to do that. We don't allow strangers to donate. And
what do you mean strangers?
I didn't know anybody who needed a kidney. I didn't have family members who needed a kidney. And at the time, 5 years ago, in New York, they did not allow you to donate altruistically livers.
To the main registry?
To anyone.
They let you donate kidneys? They let you donate
kidneys, yes.
Other parts?
No, blood, yes. But
isn't lungs, can't be lungs donated or something?
Definitely not to strangers. I'd be very surprised if they I mean, lungs is significantly more riskier than anything else out there.
What do you donate a lung? Just one side?
I don't know. What about I did? That's it. So all you could ever donate in America is lungs and kidney. I mean, kidneys and livers.
While you're alive. When you're dead, you've got intestines, you've got eyes, you've got skin. Skin is a hugely important organ for burn victims. You have many other pieces of your body that are very useful to people.
But the registry wouldn't accept you.
As an altruistic person, I don't contact the registry. I contact the hospital. It goes by region, really. So I contact the hospital. I contacted Montefiore. They said no. I contacted Columbia, and they also said no at the time.
Why?
Because New York State had a policy which did not. I don't know if it was officially a law. It was a guideline from the health
policy law. Whatever.
That somebody wants to donate to the registry. Somebody online. So those people online can only get from a dead person.
Or family members at the time, yes, or family members.
Wow.
Which I think is ridiculous. I mean, we have a ridiculous shortage of organs. People are kidneys. You can go 15 years without a kidney if you're on dialysis. Quality of life deteriorates, but you're still waiting for a kidney.
You have to do it every other day.
But livers, you don't have a liver, you're done. There's no two ways about it. And to add restrictions and making it more difficult to donate, I think is ridiculous. So thankfully that was changed, and now they allow people to donate livers to strangers.
But
at
only
least here.
In New York. Only
in New York, not in Wisconsin. I didn't check all the states, so I can't speak for other states. I imagine there are states that do allow it. So New York recently did change it to allow it, and I'm grateful for that.
Anyways, our phone number is 718-303-9090. Do you think Yitzchak is a hero, a good man, or just a nut job that had nothing better what to do with himself? Not that I'm making fun of it. I'm not making fun of you, Yitzchak. You understand that. But to me, my son came home to me, 24 years old, and says, hey, Pops, I'm donating a liver to this girl, Chaya Lipschitz, on the corner. She has somebody down the block that needs it, and we're never going to know him. I'm going to beat the hell out of him, tie him up in my basement naked, and never let him see the daylight for 2 months.
Wait. Why naked? That's odd. That's so odd.
Thrown in.
Oh, God. So, yeah.
Now that you donated, I mean, I want to ask this personal question because we skipped on in a minute. Your wife is an Orthodox Jew.
Yes.
You have no belief in God whatsoever.
Exactly.
Your children are, of course, according to her, Jewish.
Yes.
You don't care.
What I care about is that my children are well educated and make decisions on their own and are good people.
Do you allow them to follow the religion?
Absolutely.
But she's brainwashing them.
No, she's not. You can indoctrinate children, and you can also teach them things. And there's I believe there's very much a difference between the two.
And they do know what's going on in the family house, that one is religion, and they don't get mixed up.
No, why would they get mixed up?
Did you ever hear this organization called Footsteps that will be on our show tomorrow night?
I think they're a fantastic place. They're a wonderful place that fills.
Bring them back tomorrow.
But don't you think that they mix up children and some of these kids that come from religious families, and they sit with Footsteps and say, oh, your religious family for the last 25 years taught you wrong, and now it's good to be not religious, they were wrong, so when this person goes home mixed up, they jump off the top of a building, of a bar?
Okay, so first, before I really feel that I need to respond to that, but I will also say I'm not a representative of Footsteps.
I know you're not. I know. I'm asking a person.
What I say is not what they say. Now, I will definitely respond to that. There is an immense amount of misinformation in the question that was just presented to me. First, Footsteps as a policy does not promote or put away religion. if somebody is religious there, you don't knock religion. If somebody's irreligious, you do not knock atheism either.
Will Footsteps let me in if I'm religious into their organization?
If they believe that you're not a harm to others.
Well, I'm not a harm. I need to be.
They are going to be the judge of that.
So they're judging. So most likely they don't have any religious members.
They do have religious members. I know religious members who attend.
You know religious members that are part of Footsteps.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a member.
But you don't believe in God.
Footsteps is an organization that helps people come out of an insular community. That is the extent of it. It's not about knocking religion. They encourage you to do what you believe is right. And they offer you immense support there. And it's.
You mean if I want to be gay, I should be gay. If I want to be not religious, I should be not.
They don't get involved in that part.
They don't put the idea in your head. They don't put the idea in your head. Whatever you want to do, they just support you.
If you just want to adjust your religion or anything, the same thing.
And they're
not telling you not to be religious.
They're telling you
they offer kosher food.
They offer you kosher food,
absolutely,
but they don't. But they're telling you that the religious way. I mean, I watched this video of this young girl who jumped off the top of a building, and she says, "Well, I was restricted in this world. It was a crazy life that I grew up in, and Footstep has helped me lead a new way of life, away from the old path."
In other words, but that has in that sentence, assuming that is what she said,
I saw it on the video.
Again, so let's say that is a word-for-word quote, right? In that sentence, I did not hear at any point anything about Footsteps told me religion was bad. Where would you get that piece of information?
I got it from this other guy on the show. There was a
no, but I don't understand. You're right. I don't understand. Your issue with it. They're just telling you to go with what you believe in, what you think.
But if you
stop letting others and telling you what to believe and what to do.
But if you're wrong,
what do you mean if you're wrong?
Their place is not to tell you if you're wrong or right.
There's nothing wrong or right. See, in real life, it's what's good for you.
So you're telling me that Footsteps does not guide you in the wrong way. They take people.
They guide you in your way.
People are running away from their homes, 18, 19, 20-year-old people, and they're young people, even though they're grown-ups and they're allowed to take 18 plus and 20 plus, and they're all mixed up, and they're mixed up, and they need psychiatric help because for 18 years they're running one way of life. Right. Now they have nowhere to go. So Footstep takes them in.
Right. Basically, yeah. But why do you think that they need care?
Because most likely that these people are coming from a way of life that they're grown-up people. If they know which way to lead their life, they should just lead it. They don't need Footsteps.
But
the problem is
what does Footsteps do for you exactly? Do they give you money?
They offer you help with getting a GED.
What do you mean help? What do you mean help getting a GED?
They offer courses and things like not necessarily courses, but they offer materials that will allow you to get a GED.
Everybody does. Everybody does today.
Okay,
you can get
how is somebody from this community, right? Somebody grew up, didn't learn a single bit of secular education in high school, doesn't know anything about the outside world, spoke Yiddish at home the entire time, and now they're out. They're done, right?
Walk into any public school and say, I want to get my GED.
How are they supposed to know this?
Okay.
How are they supposed to know this?
How do you know about Footsteps?
Word of mouth, I assume.
Uh-huh.
Yes. But you asked me what Footsteps provide you with.
So you're telling me these 18, 20-year-old people are so stupid that they don't know where to go in the real world?
Why is it out into the real world?
That's what he's telling me. Only Footsteps
coordinates different when you're ready to make a change in your life. Any
so
type
Footsteps
of change,
will help
any
you.
type. If you want to become religious today, they will point you
Not
where
true.
to go.
Not true. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. If you want to become Hasidic, they'll help you out there too.
Footsteps will take you from not being religious and show you how to be religious.
That is what you want.
That's what you want.
I can't believe you.
Sure.
You guys
there is an immense amount of
How
misinformation.
come everybody hates Footsteps? I don't.
Because they don't know it.
Because they just like you, they don't know what they do.
Footsteps offer. Well, I'll tell you what Footsteps offered me. I can't speak for others. I can tell you what they offered me. They offered me a community of people that are.
Can you tell us how you grew up?
I grew up Hasidic.
Hasidic means what?
I attended Bobiv, Wien, Stalin.
And wait, Payas and all that.
Taldigepeisch, Staffenhit, Langedekel.
And you were
not Langedekel.
So you grew up and you felt suffocating in the religion?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever believe in God?
Yes, I did.
So you knew so you believed in God.
There was a point in time when I believed that, proof that God exists. Yeah.
And now
I realize those proofs were horribly flawed.
You were lied to. You were tricked.
No, I didn't say that. I said I believed I had proof that God exists,
who believed it,
and then afterwards, upon analysis of those proofs, I realized those proofs don't hold up.
And Footsteps is the one that guided you?
No.
You're looking.
This occurred independently. By the time I went to Footsteps, I was pretty much out.
Right.
You were out to and
It's
did
a very
you,
simple
did,
chronology.
now here's
You
a
do
question:
A,
Did your
and then you
parents
find
did your
Footsteps.
parents
That's it.
accept your change of theology?
My father has been absolutely fantastic. One message he's always told me is that no matter what I do, he'll always love me and he'll always be behind me. And I
Never
think
threw you
that has
out,
been-
never threatened
My
you.
father never.
I wish I had such a dad.
And he supported you through this time. And even
Yes.
though he was embarrassed with his neighbors
Yes.
and friends, he didn't care.
Yes.
This other girl that jumped off the building, her parents threw her out. I know you're going with the hand
information.
again. It's not secondhand.
It's not. Again,
I
wait.
read it in the papers.
Oh, that's You're always honest.
And I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying that if we want to discuss it honestly,
You can put
Yeah.
any slant on it you want in the paper.
Okay.
but I do think that there's an immense amount of misinformation
Wait,
about
you were-
Footsteps out there,
You
and
were
that
saying what Footsteps did
requires.
for you.
Yeah. So
Well,
as far as
tomorrow
what
night
they-
we're having some head honchos from there.
Yeah, we're having some very interesting people from Footsteps tomorrow.
I recommend
So
before
then-
you debate them, you should actually get educated and know what you're talking about.
I did. I read up a
Start
lot
training.
about
And
Footsteps.
you
And
don't
what-
even know
wrong
that they help
sources,
religious
probably.
people?
I never knew that they help religious people or unreligious people go back to religion. I
See,
heard.
because you're in the mentality that it always
attack
has to be a fight. There can't be no harmony by you. It can't be. It's
But
either you
everybody-
follow my way or you're a jackass.
No. But
And that's
you see,
it.
that's the difference between all of you. You
No.
guys look up and you believe everything on the front of the webpage.
No,
and
I'm
it's all
allowed
fun
to
and dandy.
believe what I want
But-
when I
so
want.
what I
and
do
I'm
is-
allowed to change my mind.
Right.
And I'm allowed to go
I got you.
back and
I got you.
forth.
I got you
That's
there, but
all.
I walked around Borough Park, Flatbush, Manhattan, and I want to hear the opinions of the people on the street. And a lot of people, 90% of the opinions that I've asked of people hate Footsteps, especially the religious.
90%.
How many
You're
of them know what
sitting
they're
in an
talking
Orthodox synagogue,
Not Orthodox
and
synagogue.
you're asking 90%.
I'm asking
you
the
know?
modern
Come on.
Orthodox, the Orthodox.
I don't believe it.
I
I,
do-
don't believe they know what they're talking
Wait,
about.
Okay.
but can you say what Footsteps did for him?
What did Footsteps do for you?
Yeah.
So for one, they offered
By
me
the way, when did you switch? When did you see that you were on the wrong path? What age?
that it doesn't. It's not an overnight thing. It's a transition that occurs over years.
Okay.
There's no like one point. Okay, tonight I'm religious. Tomorrow I'm not. It's not. It's
I
not,
think
it's a transition.
I think that would work for me like this. I believe today there's
You
God.
start
and,
questioning, you look into it, and then you slowly but surely make your way. You don't just wake up one day.
but
"Wait a
all the
second."
so I have a question for you.
But if you're gonna have Footsteps here tomorrow, they are the right people to ask.
Oh,
these
I
questions.
will. Oh, don't worry about it. I will. You
just trying out on you
you
first.
grew up with a story. You know your father, right? Your father and mother, and you know your grandparents. So your father was born from your grandparents.
Yep.
You know your grandfather was a religious man, and so on and so forth. And he told you stories of his grandfather and his great grandfather. So you have a long lineage of religious people dating all the way back to Abraham. Is that correct?
So
Supposedly.
I think I see where you're going. You're
I'm
going
not
to
going
try
anywhere.
to appeal to the Kuzari argument.
I'm not going to give you any argument.
Okay,
The
fair
point
enough.
being is you have a history of your father and teachings and so on of telling you that there's no question there's a God, and we showed you proof over and over again 5 billion times.
I don't believe anyone ever showed him proof.
Sure, they did.
Yeah,
The
I'm
story-
gonna go
he
with
has
it.
a
I
whole,
have no proof.
he has a family book. He has a family tree written for him.
Oh, how do you know
Where
that?
did God get into the tree?
So the tree is that these very holy men through his life or through his bloodline have either spoken to God, have gotten signs from God, have teachings. I mean, we're not reading the
You know
Torah.
what I did read? I did read that William Shakespeare,
Yeah.
who's about 400 years ago, I
Yeah,
believe,
okay, go ahead.
in his yard,
Isn't
they found 2 pipes and they tested it and it had marijuana.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
William Shakespeare.
I got
okay?
Planted by the cops.
Yeah, right. The pipe is 400 years old.
Whatever. The cops 400 years ago.
Wait, what did it look like? Is that for sale? Like to buy a 400-year-old pipe? That sounds so
Wow.
awesome. No,
Smoked by William Shakespeare.
right?
You
You
can
don't know
make-
what's left in there. Maybe
you
the
can- you can
old-fashioned
make-
pots left. That'd be great.
By the way,
Everything's for sale.
if we're already on the subject of this, do you believe in marijuana should be legalized or not?
Can
No
I take
opinion.
Bets.
Go ahead.
Can
I
I
have
take a
no
bet?
opinion on the matter.
You have no opinion on the matter.
Yep. Shouldn't it be
Wow,
legal?
I can't believe it.
I don't have information enough to have an opinion.
You're not a
It's-
libertarian then.
I believe in big government. Yes, absolutely. I think government has a very big role to play.
Thank God.
No.
Otherwise, imagine what this country would look like.
Oh, please.
Your microphone.
Be a bunch of people
They're
like,
robbing us.
A bunch of Estes running around doing whatever they wanted.
That'd be great.
That would be terrible. I would
No.
move to Canada instantly.
Okay, it's okay. We don't want you here anyways.
Beautiful.
My world's way nicer, happier, friendly. Nothing has to be down to earth or mean.
Anyways, everybody, you're listening to the Just Enough Heshy show. We have a very interesting young man, Yitzchak, on the show. And as you could tell, he is a good man. He gave away a piece of his body. There's nothing I can fight with you about. I mean, I disagree with you on your belief in God. I believe that you are... I don't know what to believe. A man who gives away part of his body is a good man. But again, who knows if you're crazy? But you are psychologically evaluated, and they won't let you just give away a part of your body unless you're a very good liar and you tricked them very well. And you're 20.
That's what the government does, because we can't just have a bunch of people making up their own ideas. You have to have a system.
So anyways, anybody who wants to donate a kidney or a liver, they should contact this lady, Chaya Lipschitz?
Yes. If you go to kidneymitzvah.com, I believe that's what it is. Or you can reach out to her on Facebook. She'll definitely help you out with that and arrange a donation. And you should look into it, and you should try it out. Kidneys are very, very easy compared to livers. You're pretty much up and running a couple of days later.
It's really just the future that
I have a question for you. Now that you save somebody's life, capital punishment, yes or no?
I don't believe in killing people.
Of course not. Of course not. Even though the guy walked down the street, shot 14 people, and your little sister.
I don't think killing him brings anything back. Or again, this is not a topic that I'm well versed on. I do not believe in it.
I got you. That's all right. So I want to tell you something that I was reading from a guy by the name of Paul Gamarano, or whatever, I can't pronounce the name right. And he said I can quote him about medical marijuana. And it is an incomplete statement, he says. And Esty, I want you to hear this is a professional. He says, by this means, only extracts of the plant are used medicinally and should never be smoked due to the side effects on the respiratory system. I'm not finished yet. The Chicona tree provides extracts of quinine, which gives out medical treatments for marijuana. It is not smoked, but instead it is ingested in a tablet or liquid form. The THC now, the active ingredient of marijuana, which causes the euphoria, is known since its early 1990s, as reported in a documentary scripted by 4 medical doctors, that it causes respiratory system problems, cardiovascular system problems, endocrine granular system.
That's why you're supposed to eat it.
Brain and nervous system problems, reproductive systems, male and female, immune system.
You know something? How are we still alive? People have been smoking this for generations. We should all be dead according to these statistics. The Egyptians smoked this stuff.
Where'd you get this? According to your brother, we don't know anything going back to the beginning of time.
Well, I said that we don't.
Why? He didn't say that. I didn't hear him say that. He said you can't prove God. That's all.
I could prove God.
Can we go there? Please go there.
I'm willing to go there.
Okay, let's.
I'm very simple. I have a feeling you're way out of your league. I have a question, and I want to tell him exactly.
He's like all hyped up to deck you.
I have a question for you, my son. So you don't believe in God. You in your body, you have a couple of hundred bones.
Oh,
wait, stop.
Let's hear about God.
You gave away. Quiet. You were designed not by aliens, and you thought, this, according to what I was watching the other day, that aliens seeded the planet in some kind of a DNA that only 5% of our DNA is used. The rest of the 95% we still haven't decoded. It's supposed to be called junk DNA. So you're telling me that somewhere out of the blue, this scientific, ingenious, computeristic body of ours that runs, that if the blood doesn't flow through the heart properly, and according to the liver gets sick, everything shuts down. This is a very intricate system. That means if I open my skin and I tap, my point is that only a very intelligent being could have designed it. There is no such thing as aliens. We've come to that fact already, conclusion. So there's only one other person or one other being that could have created us. God.
You're making many assumptions here.
I'm not assumpting. I'm telling you fact. You have not proved to me that there are aliens. You have not proved to me that there was a Big Bang theory.
Bones, you think there's God?
Not bones, but the system of how the body works. How a being.
The guy who made the boiler could be God?
The guy who made the boiler is a plumber. The guy who created the computer is a computer analyst. The guy who created us is God. You know what? A lot of people have the name Goodman or Goddard. These these people think they're better than God because they have the 2 D's. God only has 1 D in his name. Some people have 2 D's. So my point to you is God is the ultimate being. Whether we're angry with God, yes, we do get angry because everybody gets angry with him.
I'm still waiting to hear proof from you.
Proof that there's a God because there's no other way that the rotation.
You decided there's no other way. It's like rocket scientists. You know that that's the only way they can do it.
10
right?
minutes ago,
But you can't prove to me there's no God.
You didn't know that footsteps helped.
No, 1 minute. That's not a proof that there is, because we can't prove that there isn't.
We can prove it's not necessary.
Sure there is.
Why?
That's the proof.
No.
There is no other way. I have a question for you. I come to your house last night and there's $10 on the table. $10 on the table. I walk out. You don't even know I'm there. You walk in and you find $10. Ooh, since the $10 is there, I can't prove who put it there. So what? It couldn't have been Heshy.
Can I respond?
Yeah.
Okay. How familiar are you with evolution?
I'm very familiar with evolution.
What do you think evolution is?
Evolution is that God put into place certain beginnings. Like, for example, you buy a seed and you put the seed in the ground, and then out of the seed grows flowers, cherries, and so on. God seeded our planet in a particular way with the first male and female. He gave us
not evolution.
It is.
No.
We've evolved.
I'll give you an example of evolution.
We've evolved as beings, and we've evolved the planet. God has created the world maybe 1 billion years ago, and it took time for the sun to melt the water or dry up the water. And God didn't just make it in a day. His days could be 1 million years. So what the point being is evolution is that God wants us to evolve.
Right. So can I tell you what evolution by definition, as when it's referred to by typical people, what it is? And what that is, I'll give you an example of it. Evolution is no more than a process. That's all. It's not a living thing.
Exactly.
It's a process. That's all it is. Now, for example,
revolution and evolution.
For example,
change.
For example, during when England was industrializing, there was a city which before then typically had white moths, right? And the reason those moths were white is likely because they blended in pretty well with the background, and they were able to live longer because the birds weren't able to point them out as fast and eat them. Then that city was industrialized, and a lot of black smoke came about. Within a few years, the moths were darker, significantly darker. Reason for this is because the moths that were lighter were then stuck out much more, and the birds saw them and killed them. So the moths that were darker were able to reproduce longer and were able to reproduce more, and therefore they multiplied more, and the general population became much darker. That is an example of the process of evolution. Now,
same thing with human beings. Excuse me. You know, when America started, hold on. When America started, we had 4 million or 8 million citizens. We've then got freedom. We then were able to reproduce. We're not like, look at China that has 1 billion people. We were able to reproduce. We were able to have freedom of religion. So we were able to practice our religion. We were able to help our fellow man. And look at us today. Not even 200 years later, we have over 350 million Americans. Forget all the illegal immigrants that were not
you don't count that as double voting.
That is irrelevant.
That is called evolution.
No, that is irrelevant to our.
You're telling us that we're expanding. Sure, the world is expanding.
I'm not discussing expansion. I'm discussing a simple change in an animal. We have a moth that's almost always light, and now it's dark. Why did that happen?
What are you talking about? My son, I married a dark woman. Now my children are darkish. Hold on a second. I married a woman that her family comes from the Middle East. So my children have white, even though one of them is good, and dark. You're telling me if a black guy marries a white guy and his child comes out different, that is something different?
No, what I'm saying is that when the environment makes it so that the current state is no longer tenable, it is likely that other states will become more tenable. And if that is the case,
sure, that's why America is the big melting pot. Actually, we want everybody to be the same.
Your example is actually more of an adaptation more than an evolution.
Which is what evolution is. And evolution will have is the changes occur. There are variations in when we duplicate. Some variations are more likely to live on because either they happen to adapt to the environment better, and some are not, in which cases they'll die out.
Hold on. I have somebody wants to ask you a question. Peter on line 2. Esty, push line 2. Let's get Peter's opinion on God. Peter, go ahead. You got a quick minute. You talk to us about your God.
Shalom.
Shalom.
What's up?
You don't know what God is. He could be Christian, Hebrew, but he is there. I didn't catch your guest's name.
but he sounds pretty intelligent. And cousin is, so are you. And Neil, I like his comment earlier. I love this show, but we don't know what God is. He could be Hebrew, Jewish.
No, we're asking Peter, does God exist? Forget what religion.
Yes, he does.
And how do you know? What proof? He says we have no proof.
I can feel it.
So God is a feeling. Oh,
now we're getting somewhere.
Good. Makes me do good. When I want to steal something, my guardian angel tells me don't.
But Peter, this young man sitting with us who's 25 years old, he does not believe in good, and he gave away a liver to somebody.
Wait, I don't believe in good?
No, you
believe
in God. You don't believe in God.
Oh.
God
would bless him for that.
God made him do it. I got that.
No, God would bless him for that.
Okay. Even though he doesn't believe in God, he won't be punished afterwards.
But who?
Well, I can't help with these atheists. We have a lot of them running around, including the White House. But God does exist.
Thank you,
But,
Peter.
Gentlemen, I always listen to your show. Have a great evening.
Thank
Shalom.
you, Peter. Shalom. Thanks for calling.
Who put
So I have a
who put the-
question. Push the button. So you were telling me again.
But
My
point is not
can
finished.
I ask you a question? If I guarantee you that I spoke to God, I'm personally.
I would request that you be institutionalized.
Why?
Because
Do I not look normal to you?
You're telling me.
Do I not look normal to you?
No.
You asked me and I'll answer. You're
Just
telling me.
so I make a statement, I should be institutionalized.
No, I would request. I wouldn't force you. I would tell you. I think it would be beneficial for you to be institutionalized.
Why?
Because you're telling me that you're talking to a fictional character. That is very worrisome.
95% of the world agrees that this fictional character exists.
But that doesn't make that's irrelevant to whether or not he does exist or not. That's not
So
evidence of the fact.
95% are hallucinating, and you
No,
guys.
95% could be very wrong. That's been many times been the case.
I've never seen 95% of 7 billion
Listen,
people.
hold on. We're going around in circles. Very simple. Just because 95% of people believe in him doesn't mean that they think that there might be a proof or not. Whether they choose to believe or not is irrelevant to the fact that they believe in him or whether they can prove it. It just has to come with whether they believe in it.
So you're telling me that I talk to you now that so your father believes in God.
Yes.
Should he be institutionalized?
No.
Why?
Because
doesn't claim that
he
he
was
speaks to
brainwashed
him.
to the matter. But if he says, "Oh, this
I
fellow
spoke
came
to
down
him,
to
yeah,
me.
and
He
said,
was
"Oh,
this
God."
bright fellow that spoke with immensely loud, thunderous voices, and he told me that I should go commit genocide," I would say, "Wow, that is very, very worrisome."
So I want to ask
See
you
a
one
doctor.
question. It's like,
Yes.
you understand what aliens are, correct? Not aliens from Mexico
Aliens
or
are
from
any,
Guatemala.
any living thing from that
Other
are,
planets,
Yes, okay,
other
so
planets. Now we've had millions of sightings. All those people should be institutionalized
millions of sightings of what?
of aliens. People have seen
They can be
aliens.
mistaken. You can be mistaken.
Mistaken talking to a guy on a spaceship from another
UFO,
planet.
right.
No, I don't
A
think any
UFO.
of them say that. Oh, I went on a spaceship.
A lot, first of all, a lot do, but forget about that.
Then I'm mistaken.
But a lot
I
of them have
apologize.
sightings of aliens and so on. You're telling me that all of them should be institutionalized.
Aliens may be real. God is not. There's a difference there.
Wow.
But I would like to
Hold on,
finish.
we have a caller that wants to ask you another question because we're running out of time. Esky, push a button. Go ahead. Shlomi, you have a question for our guest?
I just want to make a comment. You're beating up this guy whether he believes in God. It doesn't matter whether he believes in God. He's acting as if God exists by his actions, and that's more important than what he believes or doesn't believe.
That's very cool. I like that, Shlomi.
That is more
I
important.
still would like him to believe in something. I don't mind him being angry at God, but I believe that he does believe. Thank you for your call, Shlomi. Did you hear what he said? He says that your actions show that there must be a God because there's no reason for you to do good.
That's not what he said. What he said that even though I don't believe in God, I'm following the path that he believes God has written out for humans.
Yeah, which is just important.
So, since there's no God, what controls the animalistic people on the planet?
I don't see why
Evolution?
you need someone to control it. But I didn't finish
Well, you think
the
it's
response
control?
to your claim.
Go.
Okay, I didn't finish the
Probably
response to your
won't
claim.
get a chance.
The response, the response to your claim is simply that, given that we know the process of evolution exists, we're referring to a process that is occurring over 4 billion years. Anything, I don't think it. I have difficulty trying to fathom what that means. I know 2,000 years is ridiculously long. We mourn the loss of the temple that occurred 2,000 years ago. That is a ridiculously long time. Imagine 4 billion years for evolution to try and work through every single different possible road out there and end to where we are now. The vast majority of species ended up going extinct.
Where do you have
Because-
proof of that?
Well, we have various fossils, but I'm not an expert on
Fossils
that
that are fakes.
matter. Sorry, whoa, I beg your pardon?
Most of these fossils they're saying are fakes.
You know this how?
I don't know how they
Oh, so you just know it's fake.
What are you talking
I'm just telling you that, and they might have got. There are many things that got extinct. Maybe it was a human being that died a couple of years ago. It could have been an animal that was deformed. I've seen animals that are deformed many times now. I've seen a fish with a pig's head. Anyways, we're coming to the end of the show. This is very interesting. I want you all to know.
We should bring him back for another show.
You should come back. Tomorrow night show, topic. We have footsteps on the show.
Maybe next week.
We are going to tell you, but I want to talk to you about everybody. The next 4 weeks are going to be very interesting before we go to the end of the show. And here's my closing quote for the show. And this is made just for you, Yitzchak. Ready? Knowledge. Those people who develop their ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to their work and their lives will be the ones we are building and trusting our society for the indefinite future. So I'm telling you, the knowledge of God, learn God, speak to God. He will answer you, I promise you. He talks to me from time to time.
Oh, God.
Everybody, come back tomorrow night to the Just Enough Heshy show. We're going to have an interesting show with Heshy, Neil, Z, and me. Thank you very much. Thank God.
Good job.